The morning light filtered through the curtains as I sat alone in my small apartment at Sunnyvale Retirement Village. The walls seemed to close in around me. 6 months earlier, I had packed up the home where I'd raised my children, where my late husband and I had shared 40 wonderful years. I'd been so certain this was the right move. A fresh start, worry-free living, a built-in community. How wrong I was. That morning, as I stared at the breakfast I couldn't bring myself to eat, I realized I'd made one of the biggest mistakes of my life. Not because retirement homes are inherently bad, many people thrive in them, but because I hadn't understood what I was truly giving up. Have you been considering a move to a retirement community? Perhaps your children have been gently suggesting it's time. Before you sign anything, before you sell your beloved home full of memories, I need to share some hard-earned wisdom with you. There are 7 crucial truths I wish someone had told me before I made this life-changing decision. These aren't just minor inconveniences, they're profound realities that have affected my sense of identity, my happiness, and even my health. Stay with me until the end, because the final truth I'll share is perhaps the most important. It's the one insight that could have completely changed my decision, yet almost no one talks about it. This isn't about fear. It's about being fully informed so you can make the right choice for your golden years, not the choice others think is best for you. Hard truth number 1, the loss of true independence. I'll have so much freedom, I told my daughter when I signed the contract. Little did I understand the difference between scheduled activities and genuine independence. The problem isn't just about having people around. It's about the subtle ways your autonomy slips away. At Sunnyvale, meals are served at set times. Miss breakfast because you wanted to sleep in. Too bad. The dining room closes at 9 a.m. sharp. Want to plant a garden? Sorry, the grounds are professionally maintained. Feel like repainting your bathroom a cheery yellow? Not without approval from management. Let me tell you about my friend Arthur. At 78, he moved into the same community a year before I did. A retired engineer with a passion for woodworking, Arthur had always spent his mornings in his garage workshop, crafting beautiful pieces for his grandchildren. Here, there's a small hobby room available on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 p.m. I watched as Arthur's eyes lost their spark after a few months of this regimented creativity. What science tells us is significant. Research from the Journal of Aging Studies shows that perceived control over one's environment is directly linked to mental well-being in older adults. When seniors lose decision-making power over everyday matters, depression rates increase by nearly 30%. If you're considering a retirement home, investigate exactly what control you'll maintain. Can you come and go freely? Are there curfews? Can you modify your living space? Ask to speak with current residents privately, without staff present, and consider alternatives like naturally occurring retirement communities, NORCs where you can age in place while still having access to services. One simple solution that worked for my neighbor Louise was negotiating specific exceptions in her contract before moving in. She ensured she could install her own bird feeder outside her window and continue her 50-year tradition of bird watching each morning. Have you ever felt your independence slipping away in small, almost invisible ways? How did it affect your spirit? Share your experience in the comments. I read every single one and would love to hear your story. If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Hard truth number 2, hidden financial drains. The brochure advertised all-inclusive living with no surprise costs. My fixed income seemed perfectly adequate for the monthly fee. 6 months in, my savings were dwindling at an alarming rate. The issue with retirement home finances isn't the base cost. It's the unexpected nickel and diming that slowly erodes your nest egg. At Sunnyvale, I discovered that transportation to medical appointments outside their scheduled shuttle times costs $45 each way. Want to host family for dinner in the private dining room? That's $75 plus the cost of meals. The weekly movie night? Nominally free but donations appreciated with watchful eyes noting who contributes. Consider my hallmate Margaret, a retired school teacher who carefully budgeted her pension. She was shocked when her daughter visited from out of state with 2 grandchildren, and Margaret received a bill for guest utilities and amenities usage of $35 per day. When she questioned it, she was directed to page 37 of her residence agreement, where the fee was indeed outlined in tiny print. Financial gerontologists have found that nearly 65% of seniors in retirement communities experience what they term contract shock, the discovery of costs they hadn't anticipated when budgeting for their move. More concerning, the National Council on Aging reports that these unexpected expenses contribute significantly to the 12% of seniors who deplete their savings within 5 years of entering a retirement community. Before making your decision, request an itemized list of all possible charges. Ask specifically about guest policies, additional services, and annual increases. Many communities raise their rates by 3 to 5% annually, well above typical Social Security cost of living adjustments. Also, read the fine print about what happens if your financial situation changes or if you need to move to a higher level of care. One practical strategy I've adopted is keeping a detailed expense journal. Every unexpected charge gets noted, which has helped me budget more accurately and given me leverage when discussing fees with management. Another resident organized a small committee that successfully negotiated caps on annual increases after presenting their findings to the corporate office. Have you encountered hidden costs that strained your budget? Or have you found clever ways to manage your finances on a fixed income? Type budget in the comments if you've dealt with similar financial surprises and share your wisdom with our community. Hard truth number 3. The illusion of community. You'll make so many new friends, my son assured me. The social calendar was indeed packed. Game nights, craft sessions, movie screenings, yet 6 months in, I felt more isolated than ever. The challenge with retirement community, social life, is that proximity doesn't automatically create meaningful connections. At Sunnyvale, I found myself surrounded by people, yet often feeling profoundly lonely. The activities feel forced, conversations remain surface level, and cliques form just as they did in high school, only with walkers instead of Letterman jackets. Take Edward, a 68-year-old retired professor who moved in after his wife passed away. Intellectually curious and kind, he tried attending the social events, but found few people shared his interests in history and classical music. It's not that they're not nice people, he told me over coffee one morning. It's that friendships need more than just proximity and age in common. At our stage of life, we know who we are, and forced bingo isn't going to change that. Social scientists at the University of Chicago have documented what they call contextual friendship, relationships formed due to convenience rather than genuine connection. Their research shows these relationships provide significantly less emotional support than friendships based on shared values and interests. More troubling, studies in the journals of gerontology reveal that perceived loneliness, feeling alone, even when surrounded by people, can be more damaging to health than actual isolation. If companionship is a key reason you're considering a retirement home, first explore alternatives. Look into community centers, religious organizations, or hobby groups where you can meet people who genuinely share your interests. If you do choose a retirement community, seek one with diverse activity options and the freedom to continue participating in outside social groups. What's worked for me is forming a small book club with 3 other residents who share my love of mystery novels. We meet in each other's apartments rather than the structured activities. I've also maintained my weekly lunch with friends from my old neighborhood. That connection to my previous life has been invaluable. Have you ever felt lonely in a crowd? How do you distinguish between meaningful connections and simply being around others? Share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes the most profound conversations start right there. Hard truth number 4. The healthcare reality gap. 24-hour medical support was prominently featured in every brochure. What they didn't mention was that this support was one overwhelmed nurse for 87 residents. The gap between healthcare promises and reality in many retirement homes is troubling. While facilities often advertise round-the-clock medical attention, the truth can be far different. At Sunnyvale, emergency call buttons sometimes go unanswered for 20-plus minutes. Medication management means pills placed in daily containers, but little follow-up if you're experiencing side effects or need adjustments. Dorothy, my 84-year-old neighbor, experienced this firsthand. With Parkinson's disease, she occasionally has difficulty swallowing. One evening, she pressed her emergency button when she felt her medication stuck in her throat. By the time help arrived, she had managed the situation herself, frightened and alone. When her daughter complained, management explained that staffing was at industry standard ratios. Geriatricians have identified what they call the care confidence gap, the difference between the medical attention retirement home residents expect and what's contractually provided. A recent study in The Gerontologist found that 72% of retirement community residents overestimated the healthcare services available to them. More concerning, the American Journal of Public Health reports that this misunderstanding can lead to dangerous delays in seeking appropriate medical care. Before selecting a retirement community, investigate their actual medical staffing levels, not just what's advertised. Ask specific questions. How many nurses are on duty overnight? What are their qualifications? What's the average response time to emergency calls? Request data, not just reassurances. Also, check state inspection reports, which are public records that can reveal patterns of care deficiencies. One solution that's worked well for me is maintaining my relationship with my longtime primary care physician rather than switching to the retirement home's visiting doctor. I've also created a personal health advocacy document that clearly outlines my medical conditions, medications, and preferences, which I keep visible in my apartment for emergency situations. Have you or a loved one experienced disappointing healthcare in a senior living facility, or have you found a community that truly delivers on its medical promises? Type health in the comments if this concern resonates with you, and let's share our experiences to help others make informed decisions. Hard truth number 5, the identity erosion. Before moving to Sunnyvale, I was Mary Thompson, gardener, community volunteer, retired librarian, grandmother of 5. Within weeks, I became Mary in apartment 237 inches or worse, the new lady with the red walker. One of the most painful aspects of retirement home living can be the subtle erosion of your personal identity. In these institutional settings, efficiency often trumps individuality. Your life history, accomplishments, and uniqueness can fade as you're reduced to room numbers and medical needs. Consider my friend Robert, a retired architect who designed several notable buildings in our city. For 50 years, people sought his opinion on design and structure. At Sunnyvale, staff members speak to him in simplified language and seem surprised when he makes informed comments about the building's layout. They see the walker, not the person, he told me with resignation in his voice. Psychologists specializing in elder care have documented the phenomenon of institutional identity, how living in standardized environments can diminish seniors' sense of self. Research from the Journal of Aging Studies shows that maintaining personal identity is crucial for mental health in later years. Seniors who feel their individuality is recognized experience significantly lower rates of depression and cognitive decline. If you're considering a retirement home, look for signs that residents are seen as individuals, not just care recipients. Are personal items and decorations encouraged in living spaces? Do staff members know residents by name and acknowledge their backgrounds? Is there respect for different daily routines and preferences? What's helped me preserve my sense of self is converting part of my small patio into a container garden, a shadow of my former yard, but still my hands in the earth. I've also made a point of continuing my literacy volunteer work via video calls with elementary students. These connections to my pre-retirement home identity have been lifelines. Another effective approach is creating a life storyboard for your living space, a visual representation of your journey, accomplishments, and passions that helps both staff and other residents see beyond your current physical limitations. Has there been a time when you felt reduced to a stereotype or label because of your age? How did you reclaim your individual identity? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else fighting the same battle. Hard truth number 6, the family relationship shift. We'll visit every Sunday, my daughter promised with tears in her eyes as she helped me unpack. 6 months later, those visits had dwindled to twice-monthly phone calls and occasional holidays. The painful truth about family relationships after a move to a retirement home is that they often change in unexpected ways. Not because your children and grandchildren love you less, but because the dynamics fundamentally shift at Sunnyvale. I've watched as family visits become more like obligatory appointments than natural gatherings. Take my neighbor Helen, whose home had always been the hub for family Sunday dinners. In her retirement apartment, there's barely room for her son's family of 5 to sit comfortably. The grandchildren can't run and play as they did in her old backyard. Meals must be taken in the communal dining room with watchful eyes monitoring the children's behavior. Gradually, the visits grew shorter and less frequent. Family psychologists have identified what they call visitation fatigue, the tendency for family connections to weaken when interactions become institutionalized rather than integrated into natural family life. Research from the Journal of Family Studies shows that meaningful family engagement decreases by approximately 40% in the first year after a senior moves to a retirement community. More troubling, this often coincides with a time when family connections become increasingly important for emotional well-being. Before making your move, have honest conversations with your family about how you'll maintain authentic connections. Consider communities that offer flexible visiting hours and comfortable spaces for family gatherings. Some progressive facilities now include guest apartments that families can use for overnight stays, making visits more relaxed and natural. One approach that's helped me is creating new traditions that work within this environment. Rather than expecting my family to recreate our old gathering style, we've established a monthly progressive dinner where we start with appetizers in my apartment, then move to the community dining room and finish with dessert in the garden, weather permitting. This works better within the constraints while still creating meaningful time together. I've also found that being very specific about my desires helps. Instead of hoping for more visits, I've arranged a standing weekly video call with my daughter and a monthly outing where my son picks me up for lunch and shopping. Has your relationship with family changed after a major life transition? How have you adapted to maintain those precious connections? Share your experience in the comments. We can learn so much from each other's journeys. If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Hard truth number 7, the end-of-life autonomy loss. The final truth is the hardest to discuss, yet perhaps the most important. Moving to a retirement home can significantly impact your control over how you spend your final years and days. This isn't about the quality of care. Many facilities provide excellent medical support. It's about the subtle and not so subtle ways that institutional living can diminish your choices when facing life's final chapter. In my 6 months at Sunnyvale, I've witnessed 3 residents' final journeys. Despite different medical conditions, their experiences followed troublingly similar patterns: increasing medical interventions, transfers to the attached skilled nursing facility, limited family access during critical moments, and care decisions subtly guided by institutional protocols rather than personal wishes. James, a 92-year-old retired mail carrier with clear advance directives requesting minimal intervention, nonetheless spent his final weeks surrounded by machines and medical staff rather than in the comfort of familiar surroundings with his beloved dog at his side. His daughter later told me she felt powerless to honor his wishes within the system. Bioethicists have documented the phenomenon of institutional momentum in end-of-life care, the tendency for medical protocols to override personal preferences when someone is in a facility rather than at home. A comprehensive study in the Journal of Palliative Medicine found that seniors in institutional settings are significantly more likely to receive aggressive medical interventions in their final months, even when these contradict their stated preferences. If end-of-life autonomy matters to you, investigate thoroughly before choosing a retirement community. Ask specific questions about how advance directives are honored, whether the facility supports hospice care within residents' apartments, and what happens if your medical needs increase. Request their written policies, not just verbal assurances. What's helped many residents I've met is appointing a strong healthcare advocate, someone who knows your wishes intimately and has the authority and personality to stand firm against institutional pressure. Having detailed, legally binding advance directives is essential, but equally important is having someone committed to enforcing them. I personally updated my end-of-life documents to be far more specific than they were previously, and I've had frank discussions with both my children about my wishes. We've also researched how to transfer me home for hospice care if that becomes my preference when the time comes. Have you thought about how your living situation might affect your end-of-life journey? What steps have you taken to ensure your wishes are respected? This is perhaps the most important conversation we can have. Please share your thoughts in the comments. As the sun sets outside my window at Sunnyvale, I find myself reflecting on the journey that brought me here and the wisdom I've gained, often painfully along the way. I don't share these 7 hard truths to frighten you or to suggest that retirement communities are wrong for everyone. Many people thrive in these settings, finding security and companionship that enhances their golden years. What I hope to offer is the perspective I wish I'd had, a clear-eyed view of the challenges alongside the benefits, the unspoken realities behind the glossy brochures. Our generation has lived through remarkable changes, from rotary phones to smartphones, from letters to instant messages. We've weathered life's storms and celebrated its joys. We've earned the right to make fully informed decisions about our final chapters. Whether you're considering a retirement home for yourself or helping a loved one with this decision, take your time. Visit multiple communities, speak privately with current residents, read the fine print, and trust your instincts. Remember that there are many paths to a fulfilling later life. Retirement communities are just one option among many. I'd love to hear about your experiences and questions. Has this resonated with your own situation? Are you facing similar decisions? What alternatives have you considered? Your comments not only help me create more useful content, but build our community of wisdom and support. If you found value in today's discussion, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. By sharing these conversations, we help each other navigate the journey with dignity, autonomy, and joy. Until next time, this is Mary, wishing you health and wisdom on your own unique path.